What's up, everybody? It's the Benchwarmers, and today we're going to be continuing our series going in detail about the career so far about each of the prospects in the 2021 NBA draft. Today, we'll be looking at the big man from USC, Evan Mobley.
From a young age, Evan Mobley played basketball, as his father Eric was a former NBA first-round draft pick, an AAU coach, and assistant coach for USC. In middle school, Evan was quite skinny and felt overshadowed by his younger brother Isaiah, who ranked higher than him at every training camp they went to. At the time, Evan liked solving Rubik's Cubes and puzzles and didn't play much basketball. It wasn't until 8th grade, where he grew to 6'4", that he got more into the sport. In high school at Rancho Christian, he was phenomenal, and as coach said, quote, "Each week for 2.5 years, his footwork, athleticism, jumping, ability to run the floor, and defense just got better." As a sophomore, he averaged 14 points and 9 rebounds, and as a junior, he improved to 19 points, 10 rebounds, and an exceptional 4.7 blocks per game. That year, he was also named California Gatorade Player of the Year. As a senior, he averaged 20 points, 12 rebounds, 5.2 blocks, and 4.6 assists per game. By the end of high school, ESPN ranked Mobley the number 3 prospect in the nation.
Aside from having an amazing high school career, Mobley also played for US teams at the international level throughout high school. Before his junior year, he played at the Under-17 World Cup and averaged 9 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 blocks per game, as USA easily won the tournament. He also represented the US at the Under-19 World Cup before his senior year, but he received very little playing time due to back spasms. Regardless, his team won that tournament as well. His combination of high school and international success led him to become a 5-star recruit, and he decided to commit to USC. He averaged 16 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 blocks per game in his freshman year, and he led USC to the semifinals of the Pac-12 tournament and the Elite Eight of March Madness, shocking Kansas along the way. He ended up winning Pac-12 Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Freshman of the Year, becoming the first ever player to do so.
Evan Mobley is the definition of a modern big, and that is why he will be one of the first names taken off the board at the end of this month. Mobley is versatile, athletic, and can space the floor. He stands 7 feet tall with a 7'4" wingspan, but he's only 215 pounds. That means that he is really mobile for someone his size, but if you throw him at the 5 spot in the NBA right now, he will struggle. Right now, his calling cards are his IQ and use of his athletic frame. He has the best defensive instincts in the paint out of anyone in this draft class. But what makes him different from shot blockers like Roy Hibbert or Rudy Gobert is that he can immediately translate a block or rebound into a transition possession, as he can handle the ball well in the open court and is very mobile. On the offensive end, he is an above-the-rim player who also has amazing finesse and touch around the rim, and he makes a consistent effort to shoot the mid-range and the 3, where he shot 30% from 3 in limited attempts. However, like most young bigs in the NBA, he will struggle out of the gate with the physicality and pace of the league. But in a rebuilding situation with a couple of years under his belt, he sure looks like he will be the real deal. Overall, although he is not a vocal leader, Evan Mobley is a smart player, a dominant two-way big, and a player who, with the right coaching and development, can become a perennial all-star and future Hall of Famer.
So now that we've reviewed his journey to the draft, we're going to discuss some important factors for when he enters the league. And I'll start off by discussing his weaknesses. So Evan Mobley is an excellent player and does not have many weaknesses, but we still think it's important to discuss them when considering the prospects of his NBA career. So the first weakness I'm going to talk about is his shooting, and Mobley's a very solid jump shooter, as Aki said, but he lacks an efficient free throw and 3-point shot, as he only shot 70% from the line and 30% from the 3 last season on some limited attempts. And while this may sound concerning, he's only 19 and has major time to develop these shots, so this shouldn't be too bad, but it's still something to take into account. The second weakness I'm going to talk about is his size, since he's 215 pounds as a 7-foot center or a potential 4, but that's still a concern since centers need to be athletic and strong to dominate in the paint, but many young centers enter the NBA skinny and build their bodies over the first few seasons, so it's not a major concern, but it's still something to consider because we don't know if he'll be too successful when he directly enters the league for these reasons.
Now I'm going to talk about some of the teams that could take him in the draft and how he fits with those teams. So he's currently the favorite to be taken by the Rockets with the second pick, where I think he will be a good fit. Even though their best player is Christian Wood, who is also a center, I think Wood is more comfortable running the four, so they could be a great frontcourt duo. Mobley will take some of the defensive load off of Wood, whereas Wood's offensive presence will ensure that Mobley is not given too much pressure to shine as a rookie. However, there's a chance that he could fall past the Rockets and get taken by the Cavs at 3 instead. Because they have Jarrett Allen already, I can see Mobley playing power forward for them, where he wouldn't be punished as much for his size as he continues to grow into his body. So this would be a great fit for him as well.
Now let's get to the fun stuff, player comparisons. I think that Mobley's a really unique player, and that is why he'll be drafted so high. I think players who are comparable to him are players who've been taken in really recent draft classes who've done quite well in the league. So players like Jaren Jackson Jr. or Bam Adebayo, who seem more like project players, but they develop really well and end up being winning players on winning teams. That sort of player is what I think Evan Mobley is, except he's already established as a star in college. And I think like Bam Adebayo, who in his first season really struggled, was a bench player and didn't impact the Heat too much. It required a few seasons for him to become a dominant player, a consistent top 5 center in the league. I think something similar might be the case for Evan Mobley. However, if we're considering his ceiling, I think his ceiling is a better player than Chris Bosh, but I think has very similar characteristics to Chris Bosh. So like Chris Bosh, really good offensive player, a lot of finesse, a decent shooting stroke, but also really, really dominant defensive player with great instincts like Mobley is. However, his floor is pretty high also. I think at worst, he'll be a raw player like Chris Boucher, who this past season has shown a big stride and improvement on a Raptors team who did considerably worse. A very good defensive player, very mobile, but not really that smart and not really translating into wins. That's the worst I could see him being. But that wraps it up for our discussion and our overall player analysis for Evan Mobley. Stay tuned for other players, which we'll be discussing. We'll be talking about Jalen Green, Jalen Suggs, possibly more players in the 2021 NBA draft. So stay tuned. Like the video if you like, comment if you liked or if you didn't like. But this is us, the Benchwarmers, and we're signing out. See ya.